All right, welcome into the 49ers Report right here on Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you, and San Francisco able to win its 8th game in a row by a final score of 37-20 over the Washington Commanders, as here on Christmas Eve, all of us get an early Christmas present in a game that was pretty interesting for the Niners, especially on the offensive side of the football. They moved the ball plenty of times throughout the afternoon at Levi Stadium, 60-degree temps, and running it, passing it. I thought that I saw a couple of good moments, but once they got into the red zone, they struggled to put touchdowns on the board, and because of that, Robbie Gould did have a very busy day, and some might have concerns about not being able to manufacture and turn those drives into touchdowns. When it comes down to a playoff level game, of course, that is a little bit of a concern for you to not really convert on those opportunities, because you're going to be going up against better teams than the Washington Commanders. But let's be real about this spot. The Commanders, desperate for playoff positioning. They're fighting for their playoff lives. They're a pretty solid defense, which in the past, they've given offenses like Kyle Shanahan some trouble, and they are very physical along that defensive line, and they were able to be opportunistic with the one turnover that they got on that Brock Purdy interception, turning that into 7 points. And I thought really one of the other big takeaways for Washington, so many times throughout the day, there were 50-50 balls where defensive backs for San Francisco were in a position to make a play, but Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin were able to come down with some of those 50-50 balls to maybe make this score look a little bit closer than it was. But the 49ers played a B game today, I would say, and they still won by 17 points by a final score of 37-20, paced by this defense, and of course we'll talk about that and plenty more coming up here on our post-game show. First, though, want to hear from you in the comments section. Grade the 49ers' performance here today, winning 8 games in a row. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles did lose against the Dallas Cowboys, so still an opportunity to potentially get that number 1 seed in the NFC. Of course, San Francisco has to win out. The Eagles have to lose out, but still a glimmer of hope right there. To some of my news and takeaways for this game, George Kittle has been on fire, and everybody wanted to say that he was washed because he got injured early in the year and was a little bit banged up. He wasn't involved in the pass game. George Kittle still has it. And George Kittle has a lot left in the tank. But without Deebo Samuel, and because of Deebo's injury, George Kittle has had more of a role in this pass game. And because of that, he's really dominated the last 2 weeks, looking like the George Kittle of old before that contract extension. 4 touchdowns in the last 2 games, and all of them pretty much. He's picking up yards after the catch, showing some burst, running with physicality. He is a very special player, and him and Brock Purdy have a very nice connection going. I think that Kittle looks great, and that's huge for this offense, even when Deebo Samuel comes back, because it's yet another weapon on the offensive side of the ball that opposing defenses have to plan for. And as long as Brock Purdy continues to play like this, 4 games in a row in which he has thrown at least 2 touchdowns, I think that this San Francisco team, after keeping my eye on Philadelphia as well as Dallas, the number 1 team in the NFC. A whole lot left to get to here on our post-game show. First, though, it's all made possible and free, by the way, by Rocket Money. Do you know how much your subscriptions really cost? Most Americans think they spend about $80 per month on subscriptions when the actual total cost closer to $200. That's right. You could be wasting hundreds of dollars each month on subscriptions that you didn't even know about. And there's this app, myself, producer Trizzy, we love using it. It takes care of all of that for us. It's called Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill. It's an app that shows you all of your subscriptions in one place and then cancels for you whatever you don't still want. Rocket Money can even find a subscription you didn't know you were paying for, and you may even find out you've been double charged for a subscription, and to cancel it, all you have to do is press cancel. Rocket Money takes care of the rest. So get rid of those useless subscriptions with Rocket Money now. Head to rocketmoney.com/Niners. Seriously, it could save you hundreds of dollars per year. That is rocketmoney.com/49ers. Some more news and notes from this game. I thought that the 2 4th-down stops for this Niners defense were huge, playing a role in flipping the momentum of this football game. One time it was in the Niners territory, or in Washington territory, where the Niners took over in their own territory after that quarterback sneak for Taylor Heineke was stopped abruptly. And then before that, It was a goal line stand for this Niners defense, which if they can win a Super Bowl, could go down as one of the best defenses that we've seen in the history of the National Football League. That's how good they are along the defensive front, in that linebacking core. And once again, I thought the secondary was good. Sometimes with those 50-50 balls, you just get beat out, and it's good defense, but better offense. Let's also talk about Nick Bosa along that aforementioned defensive line. 2 sacks today for Nick Bosa. He now has 17.5 sacks on the season. That is 2 away from a franchise record that was set previously by Aldon Smith. Now, I had a poll on our watch party. Better at their peak as a Niner. Was it Aldon Smith? Was it Nick Bosa? Because Smith at his peak was a special player. He had demons, but as a football player solely, he was unbelievable. Nick Bosa now, he's still in his early 20s. He might already be better than Aldon Smith was at his prime. 85% the votes there with Bosa as compared to 15 for Aldon Smith. And what to keep an eye out for here, with 2 games left against 2 more bad offensive lines. The Raiders on New Year's Day, and then you round out the regular season against the Arizona Cardinals, is that Michael Strahan has the all-time sack record in the NFL for a single season of 22.5. So going into today, Nick Bosa was 7 away. Now he's 5 away. He could get 3 against the Raiders. It's going to be hard to get 5 over the last 2 games, but we know that Nick Bosa is a very, very special player. As for Mike McGlinchey, some problems today. A couple of false starts that came at some really inopportune situations and times. Keep in mind, he was dealing with a broken rib or 2, and I think that those false starts simply caused by him trying to get a beat on the defensive line, knowing that he's a little bit hobbled. For Brock Purdy today, I thought that he was fine. He didn't do anything that was really flashy or crazy. He was very efficient. The interception that he threw was not on him. It was on Jawan Jennings who dropped that football. Should have been caught. Really good ball right at his hip. Went off Jennings' hands, and he tipped it to the DB. 15-22 for Purdy, 234, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, and as I said, the 4th consecutive game in which he has thrown for at least 2 touchdowns. And the 49ers' depth is also really impressive. And make sure you subscribe to the show for coverage coming your way every single day on the San Francisco 49ers. Nobody's doing it like we do it here on the channel. The depth of weapons offensively, once again, on display today. The 49ers had struggled to get into the end zone. They'd struggled to capitalize in the red zone. They got bailed out by a couple of big plays, whether it was Ray McLeod, 71 yards on that end around, big play to George Kittle, big plays to Brandon Ayuk. There are so many people who can hurt you within this offense, and the Kyle Shanahan design of this offense, beautiful, and keeps the defense on its heels and on edge, and that's why I think that the 49ers are primed to potentially make a deep run here in the playoffs and do have that opportunity to maybe win a Super Bowl in their quest for yet another ring. Because what is the weakness on this team? You want to tell me quarterback? Well, Purdy is dispersing the football. He's being smart with his decisions. The Kittle throw on that 2nd touchdown was so accurate. He has a good command of this offense. He doesn't seem to get flustered all that much. I like his mobility as well as his athleticism. And then Ray McLeod pops off that 71-yard end around. When Debo comes back, he'll probably never be used in this offense as an offensive weapon. He'll be used solely just with special teams. So just everything that everybody can do with this team, and that's not mentioning the fact that this defense at all 3 levels is very special as well. Kevin Romero with the $2 donation. Thank you so much, my guy. How can the 49ers get the number 1 seed? I touched on it a little bit earlier. Eagles have to lose their remaining 2 games after they lost to Dallas today, and the Niners have to win the rest of their games. And that is an opportunity for the 49ers to potentially get that number 1 seed. Eagles lose out, 49ers win out, and you have to hope that the Minnesota Vikings also lose a game in that process as well. So to round things out for our post-game show strictly here on YouTube, and then we'll take your calls here on Call-In. Niners win it 37-20. Taylor Heineke, he did get benched, or maybe he was injured for Carson Wentz, but this Niners team, as a defense, able to get a lot of pressure. Fred Warner led the way with 13 tackles. Deommodore Lenoir had 9. He continues to be a very good tackler in that secondary. The 49ers only had and registered 2 sacks on the day, both of them for Bosa. Sent some pressure here and there, but D'Amico Ryans has that unit playing at an all-time level. So your one word to describe this team is what? Dominant, hot. Somebody earlier said resilient. All of those apply because this 49ers team, it's a special one.